What up, guys? Welcome back to Base Damage. And this week on Rogue Deck Reviews, we are going to be going over another awesome deck sent in by Kojiros. Thanks a whole bunch, dude. And this week is going to be his Abyssal deck called the Dark World Brides. And it's actually based off of what he says is one of his favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes, which is Dark World. And I played through Dark World when they first came out, and they are a very, very fun archetype. If anyone's look into those. Those are actually pretty good cards, and they came out a long time ago. So this had to have been like 2006, 2007, something like that. But fairly older archetype, but really fun at the same time. So Dark World Brides, because the Abyssals being the sunk versions of the Fleet Girls. Spoiler alert, that's whatever. But I don't know what all each of the which girl is which from the original Contact or the original Fleet Girls that they are. Even though they're the sunk version, I don't know which one is which, but I know a couple. So, to get right into this, one, for the Abyssals, all of the Abyssals are either blue or green. There's no red or yellow for the Abyssal set, but that's okay, ain't no problem. But they still got some very nice effects across the board that can do some crazy shenanigans. So to start it off is, for the level 0s, we have 3 copies of this oversized Nay-class heavy cruiser that has 2 effects. It has 2 downsides, quote-unquote. It can't side attack, and when it gets reversed, your opponent can put a card from your waiting room to the top of your deck. So early on, if they're able to reverse this, they get pushed to level 1 first, and they reverse this, they have the chance to put something on top of your deck to do some guaranteed damage, which, even that doesn't bother me. That's kind of whatever. Mostly because of the other, where it can't side attack. So the other biggest thing that it has to worry about is reversers. However, the only time the second effect comes into play for that is against just regular level 0 reversers. Against clock bombs and stock bombs, that doesn't even go off, so that doesn't bother me. Next, we have 2 copies of Knee-class Destroyer, which has 2 effects. When it's played from your hand to the stage, you may put the top card of your opponent's stock into the waiting room, and if you do, choose a card in your opponent's waiting room, put it into his or her stock. So basically use that effect, try throw a climax or something like that into your opponent's stock. So maybe they forget about it, I don't know. Or they have to pay out they have to get rid of some resources to get that climax out. So pretty decent. And then when it attacks, you can give another Abyssal character 1,000 power until the end of turn. So always pretty good to have that buff regardless of really what level you're at. Then 2 copies of this Chi-class Torpedo Cruiser, that when it's placed from the stage to your hand, from the hand to the stage, sorry, I know that always gets thrown around mixed up on this channel, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a climax character, choose one of your opponent's characters and it gets minus 1,000 power. So the top check's pretty decent on that, and you get to see, some stuff coming up, that's whatever. To which, this can also, if this effect ends up going off where you're able to give somebody a minus 1,000, you can usually easily pop a back row, that like an assist or whatever. Examples being like Asana's Married Life. If they already have that out, that's only like 500 power. Other cards that it could pop that would, prove to be an aggravation were previous level 0 reversers, stock bombs, and a lot of that are only about 1,000 power. And Hibiki from Kantai, the dreaded heal tax plus brings out Verni at level 0. Those are only 1,000 power anyway. To which, if you pop them off of this effect, they ain't doing shit. So that's pretty cool. Also, because if that effect ends up going off and the top card of your deck is a climax, you can set up for this. So, the first effect is your middle position gets 500 power. That's just her constant effect. The other thing is she is the brainstormer of the set. You can pay 1 and just rest her, so you ain't got to rest 2 characters. That also already helps. Mill 4, for every climax, search your deck for an Abyssal. So if you're able to pop something off of this effect, cool. But regardless, if the top card of your deck is a climax, this sets up for that. So you're like, oh well, I'm going to get a guaranteed search. So try to plus some off of that if you can. 3 copies of the Brainstormer, really good. Then 3 copies of this Global 500. It's Southern Battle Princess in the Deep Sea. I'm sorry, I didn't say what the name of the Brainstormer was. It's Anchorage Ogre in the Deep Sea. Sorry. So yeah. Southern Battle Princess is a Global 500 to all your other Abyssals, and when it's played, you basically get to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an Abyssal, add it to your hand, and then you discard 1. So some hand filtering pretty early on is pretty good. as an example, this being a global 5, there's the another 1,000 there that this thing could pop. That's that's whatever if you're going up against other Abyssals. The ability that lets you pitch off of this, basically the hand fixing. If you pitch Abyssals off of this, there's actually several cards in the Abyssal set that have like a buff that goes off when you send a character or an Abyssal character from your hand to the waiting room. So like off of backups and whatnot, but also off of this effect actually procs those as soon as you play it. If you pitch an Abyssal off of that, not like a climax or whatever, whatever works it for whatever time. 3 of her. This is actually the first example of that. 3 copies of this Ho class light cruiser, because she a Ho. Up to 1 time per turn, when a character is put into your waiting room from your hand, this gets plus 2,500 power. So if you get this effect to go off, this is a 5k for a turn before the buff from this or whatever. So you're going to be able to kill a lot of stuff, even like be able to kill other oversizes with that. At level 0 is pretty cool, and it'd be funny just to be able to have this down at like even at level 1 and still be able to kill stuff at level 1 if your opponent only has like some 5ks or what out, and you just pop some stuff. It's pretty cool. So we have 5, 10, 16 level 0s. Going to level 1, we have 3 copies of the Port Princess in the Deep Sea. He doesn't run Hoppo for this deck. He sent me another Abyssal deck as well that I think does run Hoppo, if I remember correctly. And Hoppo is the preferred card for the level 1 Climax combo because it's a 1k1 gold bar. But the first Climax combo of this deck is still a 1k1 gold bar that I actually prefer over the Hoppo, even though I will completely and totally admit the Hoppo is a very, very good card. I just prefer not to play it because I like to change it from what other people are playing. You know how it goes. But the Port Princess in the Deep Sea is a level 1, 0 cost, 65. The drawback being if the number of cards in your clock is 1 or less, this cannot attack just straight up. Not front or not, it can't even side, So you have to basically have 2 damage in your clock for this to be able to go off, or for this to be able to attack in any way, shape, or form. The best part is she's usually clock fodder, but we'll get to that in a second. 2 copies of the Southern Ogre in Deep Sea level 1, which is also a global 500 of all your Abyssals, and you can rest her to draw a card and discard a card. So more of the hand filtering thing that's going to let you just get a lot of stuff cycled out and just draw, pitch, and just go off effect-wise. Okay, so this is one of the buffing effects. Anchorage Princess in the Deep Sea. Up to 1 time per turn when a character is sent from your waiting room to your waiting room from your hand, this gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. Now, the cool thing is, sure, this will proc off of this effect, but this will also proc off of backups. Because of the character backup goes straight from your hand to the waiting room. Not only if they attack this, are you going to be able to give, with this backup alone is basically a free 2k. Give her 2k off of the backup. Her own ability gives her an additional. Defensively, she can become, with a backup, a 9k before anything else. And, on level 1, that's a wall that you're... I'm sorry, there's not many Climax combos that's going to get over that. Nita Minami is going to have a hard time. That's... Shoot. I see Nita Minamis easily get up to 9k with most of their other buffs before, other global 500s or whatever. So that's pretty cool. And then, a free 2k backup just because of bam, you have Abyssals, might as well. Really good. So that rounds out the level 1s, which is 6, 8, 11. And remember this, bitch, because this is where the first part of the level 2 combo comes into play here, is off of the Berserker mode of Port Princess in the Deep Sea. If you have the level 1 version in your clock, she gets -1 level in hand, so she can hit out in level 1. And the first Climax combo of the deck is actually the one that I prefer to run over the Hoppo. So this is kind of why I was kind of more partial to doing this one first, because I like how this combo is set up. Basically, when this attacks, if the 1k1 gold bar, so it's still a gold bar, just like Hoppo's is, so that's whatever, is in your Climax area, you can choose a card in your clock, return it to your hand, and if you do, put the top card of your library into your clock. Excuse me. So that lets you, get any card. It doesn't state Abyssal, it doesn't state Climax, it's whatever. You grab whatever from your clock that you need at the time. Admittedly, this is dependent on whatever's in your clock as to what you can get. You can still get a little bit of hand advantage regardless, and any card game player will tell you hand advantage is very key, and so basically she'll replace herself easily, if you're able to get that combo off. Plus being able to drop her at level 1 anyway. Freaking 75, have this on field, an 8k, level 1, with a climax combo. If she survives, they have to commit some resources to try to kill her. So I really like this, and messing around with Two Love Rue and like the cute pajamas Mikan and whatnot, that makes it so you have a whole nother hand off of her effect, and I like this being able to go, okay, set up my next turn. I see that there's some cards in here in my clock, like, I got a whole bunch of cards in my clock, and I can go ahead and set up my next turn. Even if my opponent knows what I'm going to have, it's whatever. Go ahead and be able to set up my next turn, because I know for a fact I'm probably going to level, So, really good. Next we have, this is also really fun. This is the anti-change of the deck. Yeah. This is a 2500 backup, 2 copies of this. When you use the backup, if you have 4 more Abyssal characters, you may pay the cost, which is 2 stock. Choose one of your opponent's characters with a level higher than the opponent's level and put it into their waiting room. So, Titans, sorry. But really good, and I think if a series can run anti-change, they should, even if they only run 1 copy, that's whatever. So then also 2 copies of Isolated Island Ogre in the Deep Sea. She is a global 1000 to all your Abyssals, and this is just really nice. Also a Akashi-esque effect of pay 2, tap her, search your deck for a Abyssal. If I accidentally say Fleet Girl at any point in this, I apologize. I'm trying to say Abyssal every single time, because it's called Fleet in the Deep Sea, which is going to make me potentially, auto complete say Fleet Girl accidentally, but that's whatever. But really good, just the global 1000 is already good enough, and then to have the Akashi-esque effect to be able to pay out some extra stock if you absolutely need to search for what you need when you need it is really good. Then we have 3 copies of Anchorage Hydro Ogre, which is, the names on this are so cool, and the art looks amazing, but it is such a mouthful sometimes. If the number of Fleet Girls that you have... See, right there, I did it, Fleet Girls. If the number of Abyssal characters you have is 4 or more, this card gets a -1 level while in your hand. So another early play that can happen very easily, and basically end up being essentially a level 1 cost 7k. Excuse me. And then when your character is put into the waiting room from your hand, there's that effect again. This card gets plus 1500 power till the end of turn. So more buffs off of that just across the levels. And so, off of that alone becomes an 85. It just, the walls that this deck can produce are crazy. So, even more so, because this is a later level, let's look at this. This is on the field. It's a 7k. Off of its own effect, it becomes a 8-5. If you use this on it when it's getting attacked, you're going to give it a plus 25. Off of 85 makes it a freaking 11, which is just baffling to me before any other buffs. In case you have this back row, it could be a 12. If you have another one of the global 500s, a 12-5 off of that. It's just really powerful. So that rounds out the level 2s, which is 10 level 2s, but you gotta think over half of them can be played at level 1, which is interesting. Level 3s, we just have a 3 and 2 spread, but it is fairly fun. We have 3 copies of the Hoppo, which has an experience. If all the cards in your level are Abyssal characters, she gets plus 1500 power, making her an 11-5 base, so that's going to go off. Like just straight up, this, you might as well just say this is going to be a constant 11-5 just when you play it. The turn that she's played from hand to stage, if the battle opponent becomes reversed, you can pay 1 and send that character to your opponent's clock. So clock shoot for days, bro. Shoutouts to Moroku there. So 3 copies of her, just really good as a finisher. And this is the other big finisher of the deck. It's the Restander. This has a couple effects. She basically loses a lot of power if you have open positions in your center stage, or if you just don't have, or if you don't have her in the middle position of the center stage. Basically, you want to have her middle center and have characters on either side of her, and not have them reversed. And she stays very, very big, because she's a 13,000 base before her minuses or attempt anything else go in. Also, when she's played, you can look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose 1 card amongst them, your opponent doesn't get to see, put it into your hand, and the rest of them go to your waiting room. So she digs for her climax combo if you don't have it already, which is off of this 1k1 pants trigger. So if you don't already get, the card itself off of the pants trigger effect alone, she can dig for it and try to get it anyway. Then when her battle opponent becomes reversed, if you have the 1k1 pants trigger in play, you can pay the cost, which is 3 stock, and then you sacrifice the climax itself to restand her. So her first attack, regardless of whether you poke with other characters or not, is going to be for 3 soul because of the 1k1, and her second attack will be for 2 soul. Now this makes it a little more consistent in case you only need to poke for a certain amount of damage for the second attack or whatever. That actually ends up being pretty good. You also, if you have the stock necessary, you can calculate out how much damage you want to do with your other characters. Say, you want to go ahead and do this climax combo, but that you only want to poke for like 1 and 1 with your other side characters. Like you dropped like some level 1s or 0s, and you just want to poke for 1 damage each. This lets you do the climax combo, poke for 3, restand her, and then be able to poke for only little increments of damage, so your other characters are not, trying to swing for too much. So can kind of mitigate like how much soul damage you're doing at a time. So pretty cool that way. And 3 copies of that climax, 2 copies of this 1k1 book trigger, and 3 copies of the 1k1 gold bar. And that rounds out the deck. I'm experimenting around with some stuff. Like the other level 3 of the set is like an early play level 2 if you have like 2 or less climaxes in your waiting room. I'm considering maybe messing with Hoppo. I probably won't end up doing it, even though I will concede that Hoppo is a very good card, the level 1 Hoppo. And Kojiros himself explained to me in a way that I like the card better after reading that explanation that he gave me. But at the same time, I'm gonna play different from how other people do. So, but thank y'all for watching. It has been really awesome going over this deck and going over Abyssals, because we waited so freaking long for these things to come out. And I, for one, am definitely hyped about finally being able to mess with this set and try to do some shenanigans. So, thank y'all for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already, and we will see y'all on the flip side. Peace for now.